My name's Artemis, and it seems like everybody in the world has something which they are just a little bit shy about, something that they very much enjoy. It's a deep, massive part of themselves, but they potentially rather keep it to themselves than share it with absolutely everybody.
Indeed we do, but what happens when the general public finds out? How screwed are you when your friends and family realise what exactly makes your downstairs parts go all boogie woogie? Well, we're gonna fucking talk about that, obviously. That's why we're doing the introduction, huh?
Damn right, that's what we're doing. But obviously there are so many kinks and fetishes and things like that to go through that trying to put them all in one video would just make an hour of me talking, and nobody wants that, not even me, I know. So I thought maybe we should just break these up, because it's weird how certain kinks, fetishes, they sort of go in pairs, and maybe even triplets, so they're kind of related to each other. We could maybe make this a little series, and so that's exactly what we're gonna fucking do. And obviously, you know which ones we're starting off with. Obviously, what the fuck else would it be? Well, I wonder why we've got this on the list. It's almost like I found another excuse to talk about paws. Yes, we are distinguishing between feet and paws because they have different levels of interest, and also they have different sort of things to them. So obviously you know what we're talking about when we talk about paws. I'm not going to go into a whole description of it. I mean, look at me. I've spoken about paws a lot. You all know. But obviously when it comes to the public perception, it kind of piggybacks off of the foot fetish community quite a bit. But then it adds an extra sort of salt shaker of weirdness because you've got this shit going on. Okay? Like, it becomes less about, you know, a body part fixation that people can reconcile with because they might like tits or ass or dick or balls or all of them. But this one goes a little bit further because we include certain things like stomp and macro-micro and that sort of thing, and, you know, plushness. And that can get you into a bit more of a sort of maze when it comes to explaining it. Public perception of paws and whatnot are basically, well, essentially it's when you want to include some sort of foot-based thing, but it's an animated cartoon for kids. Like, you know, if you want to show that a character's in peril, you might use tickling, and that would be the paws. But also it could be a joke, because everybody sort of has a stereotype that feet/paws are smelly and that sort of thing. So you do kind of fall into the trap of, it's disgusting, you fucking freak. So this one is a bit of a troubling one, because on the one hand, you can very easily sort of brush it off like, well, they're cute, they're plush, it's basically like slippers, it's like, what's the issue? But on the other hand, if somebody is really already quite heavily set against feet, and then you have to bring in the whole anthro animal of it all, yeah, this one might be quite embarrassing. You might get people pointing out real life animals and you having to be like, no, that's disgusting, what the fuck, no. So I don't think you have too much to worry about on this one. It's quite easy to explain. You can usually find some sort of middle ground, but this isn't exactly going to be one that you can just blag instantly with everybody. You're going to have to put some work in.
Aha, yes, here we are at my wheelhouse. Obviously you knew I was going to be talking about this. Feet! So obviously feet is kind of a divisive one, because the general public perception of feet is that they are disgusting and people generally don't like them, and everyone seems to have an opinion on them as well, whether that's good or bad. And obviously foot care comes into it, but when it comes to like the media perception, quite often it's smell and disgustingness, and typically it's something like, okay, we need to characterize somebody as being, you know, sort of rough and sort of, you know, a bit boisterous and a bit disgusting, doesn't shower every week, stinky socks. So yeah, maybe if that's the part of this massive umbrella that really gets you going, you might see some judgment from that one. But it is also a fixation on a body part. And that makes things a lot easier to try and explain, because if anybody say like, how the fuck can you like feet? It's just a part of the body. You can so easily turn that around to tits, ass, like booty. Yeah, everybody sort of has a part of the body most of the time that they're more drawn to than other parts that can be sexualized or even non-sexualized but fixated upon. So there is a sort of middle ground there. The only thing you really come into with feet is obviously the massive sort of variance within this interest, because obviously the stereotype would be the sniffers, the people who like the smell, the lickers, the worshippers, and that is a hard one to get around. That's very hard, because when you do see that in media, when you do see that represented, it's never with a sort of, you know, oh yeah, this person's a nice guy and he just so happens to like feet. It's always, yeah, this guy's a creeping pervert and he will steal your shoes and suck your toes without you wanting him to. And that is exactly the kind of effect that it's going to have on you. That's exactly the kind of thing that you're going to end up dealing with. Now, if, like myself, it is a non-sexual interest and it's about cleanliness and softness, then that kind of helps balance things a little bit. You're still going to get people thinking you're weird. I do. But then if you introduce other things, now I was going to make this its own category, but it might as well make it a subcategory, like tickling, then you really fucking struggle to get people to understand, because again, that's a very divisive thing that most people hate, most people cannot stand, and if they have a sort of, not phobia exactly, but an aversion to their own feet, you introduce that dreaded T word to the equation, suddenly they aren't on board, they can't understand this, how the fuck could you like that? So, I don't know, on the spectrum, it kind of depends, I guess. Like, it could be right up here and really easy to explain away, because, you know, anytime people find out me, I'm like, yeah, and what? What about it? But obviously, if you are one of the people who likes a lot more of the heavy, intense smell, grime, sweat, that kind of thing, yeah, it's going to slide down to the not so easy to explain away, oh, I'm really kind of going to get the assumption that I'm some dirty pervert kind of thing. So, yeah, it depends.
But we've spoken about how screwed you might be and how the general perceptions are, but what exactly do you do if people do find out? Well, I have some experience with this sort of thing, and I thought I would lend my wisdom to such a subject and tell you what to do, what not to do, or just advice. I'm not going to tell you, obviously, you know, I'm not going to demand that you do it a certain way, but this is something that we could all potentially deal with at some point in our life, and the way that you act, the way that you deal with it will massively improve the way that other people perceive it. So it's ultimately come down to just act like you don't give a fuck. That's a good piece of advice for general life. But if you act like it's a big deal, people will treat it like a big deal. If you act like it's nothing, then people will have to deal with it as if it's just nothing. Like, you know, if someone was to come along and go, hey, I heard that you steal people's shoes and sniff them and then sell the pictures online for money, and you're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, that people are going to fucking react to you. Like, oh, well, he's obviously really embarrassed by this, so we should treat it like that. But if they come along and be like, so, see that you are, like, sucking on toes, what the fuck is that about? And you go, yeah, and what of it? Then people were kind of taken aback and like, okay, well, at the end of the day, everybody in the world has something that's slightly embarrassing to them, and it's not even always sexual. Maybe they're really into other things, like TV shows that are a little bit crap or something like that. Everybody has something that they can relate to that they're ultimately just a little bit shy about. And if you act with confidence, then people will respond to that. Fake it till you make it, even if you don't feel it, for God's sake. And hell, you know, it's ultimately just not a big deal. Like, whatever you're into is down to you. If people want to make a big deal out of it, then I guess that's on them, isn't it? Like, okay, if you want to be all up in my business about that, that's fine, but that's a bit weird, I guess, whatever. Just fake it till you make it, confidence out the ass, and just play it down as if it is nowhere near the biggest thing in the fucking world, and you can't go wrong. That's what I did, it fucking works.
Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you did enjoy this video and it made a bit of sense to you, because obviously this is something that we might all end up dealing with one day. Lord knows I've dealt with it plenty of times. So I'm not saying that I'm a massive authority on it, I'm just saying kind of an authority on it. But if you did enjoy the video and you would like to maybe support this channel and see, you know, what other installments of this potentially new amazing series we're making could be, have a little look at the merchandise. You never know. You might find something you like. You might decide, I'm going to spend my entire paycheck on this. And no one would stop you. That's absolutely a-okay. That is fine. I will support these toxic financial habits, because that's capitalism. Anyway, I'm sure the dog can beg for money next as well.
You know what? Usually I would say that I would never beg for money, but Yeah, it's pretty much what we do every time. But thank you for watching. Hopefully you did enjoy this, the beginning of our little series on public perceptions of various kinks. And I'm sure we're going to be asking you a lot for feedback and, you know, tell us what kinks we should cover because, whoa, there's a lot of them. Whoa, goddamn, there's a lot of them. But hey, we found another excuse to talk about feet and paws, and that's always a fun Friday for us now, isn't it? So thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you did enjoy it. If you did and you would like to support this channel, help us keep going and navigate through this capitalist hellscape, then maybe you could throw some capital our way. Who knows? You could support us. You get benefits for it. You can have your own private little video. That sounded really bad when it came out of my mouth. Like, in the context of this as well, holy shit, oh god. I meant that you get like a personalised thank you video on certain tiers. God, I need to think things through before I say them a bit better. But anyway, thank you for watching, hopefully you did enjoy it, and I guess we'll see you next week. Goodbye!